Vampire Diaries season 6. What am I gonna say about this season? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna say? Um, so I thought season 5 was really, really, really cool. Fucking dope. I thought it was sick. I loved it. It was awesome. Uh, and I said in season 5 that what my reading of it, what I thought made it so cool was that I thought it was I still think it is. This is how I view season 5 of the Vampire Diaries, as a breakup, a divorce from the teen show, from the teen drama and postmodernism. And this is a postmodern show, and I saw the end of season 5 being like a separation from its own philosophy. It's no longer going to be a philosophically postmodern show, which is cool. And I thought it was just so beautiful. With Damon and Bonnie standing there facing down Armageddon, you know, uh, Bonnie representing the sincerity of postmodern art and Damon representing the nihilism of it. And they always come hand in hand, and they're there at the end of the world, at the end of their philosophy, then they're lost, gone. Beautiful. And I said in that video that I don't think we're going to be talking about postmodernism anymore on the show. But if I'm reading Julie Plec and the writers of the Vampire Diaries correctly, postmodernism will no longer be important to talk about. And I was right. The Vampire Diaries season 6 is a show that's trying very deeply to be sincere. We spend a lot of time talking about family. And family is a pretty sincere topic to discuss, and I mean it's talked about genuinely within the show. We talk about Damon and Stefan's mother, Caroline's mother, her passing, her death. We talk about family. We talk about obligation. We talk a lot about sincerity. This is a show trying very deeply to be as sincere as possible, as meaningful as possible, and as earnest as possible. So we are no longer dealing with postmodern mechanics, postmodern archetypes, postmodern situations. We really aren't. What used to be a show about how the past projects upon the present, how the present is a projection of the past, uh, we're no longer concerned with those kinds of paradoxical postmodern conundrums of narrative. In fact, Damon and Bonnie, they're not dead or anything. They are trapped in a prison universe, stuck in time. So time itself is now a prison. And I think it's very interesting that first prison world that Damon and Bonnie are stuck in is within the early to mid 90s, which that is when postmodernism kind of had its chokehold firmly on culture. Uh, and it's just saying that is a prison and they are breaking out of it. This show is no longer a postmodern show. They are breaking out of the 90s iconography. They're breaking out of it. And I love Bonnie and Damon so much. Uh, if anything still works really well, it's Bonnie and Damon, and their newfound kind of fun dynamic here. I love their friendship, their dynamic, their relationship. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's wonderful to interact with. Their shared arc is incredible, and Bonnie was put through so much. Bonnie is still fucking wifey. She is still my wife to the core. Marry me, Bonnie Bennett. Find me a girl like Bonnie Bennett, audience, please. I think I've given you enough videos. I've given you enough things. Give me a fucking Bonnie Bennett wife. Come on, pay me back in some way. Bonnie Bennett is so cool, and she was pushed to extraordinary limits. And I like that she has become kind of the de facto lead now, mostly because the show is sincere, and she has always represented sincerity. She's the most sincere character on the whole show, and therefore the most heroic, because I think that even when the show was postmodern to the core, it viewed sincerity as the most heroic virtue possible. And Bonnie always exhibited sincerity. So it makes sense that she is our hero, and she gets her own private arch nemesis this season in the form of Kai, who don't really I didn't hate Kai. Kai was entertaining. I liked how Kai challenged Bonnie, challenged her to kind of the precipice of nihilism, challenged her to sincerity's end. And in the end, it is Damon, our constant reminder, our everlasting symbol of nihilism and ultraviolence, who had to not only save Bonnie's life, but pull her back from that kind of absolute abandon, a kind of oblivion that Kai was pushing her towards. I love that Bonnie got her own villain, and I like their kind of villain conversations. It was fun, and I wanted to see Bonnie eviscerate that boy. Bonnie was amazing this season. MVP of the whole show is Bonnie Bennett. Cat Graham, this is a masterful performance. And I brought up Damon earlier too. Ian Somerhalder also gives a masterful performance. Season 6 is interesting because it is Nina Dobrev's final season as Elena Gilbert. Her final season in the Vampire Diaries is this one, and it's such a weird way to say goodbye to a character, ain't it? It's so fucking clunky and weird. But Elena Gilbert, I can say this with the utmost confidence. She's the most unlikable main character I've ever had to be around. I don't like Elena Gilbert. Everything has to be about Elena Gilbert. Everything. She hears some soul shattering news about someone else and immediately relates it to her and uses it as a way to amplify her own emotional well being or state of mind. Everything has to be about Elena Gilbert. She is so selfish, and I don't think that the character had much charm near the end. So I'm perfectly fine seeing Elena Gilbert go. Uh, Nina, you were awesome. I loved you as Catherine Pierce. Elena Gilbert is just a bad character. Nina, you were great, and you put in the work. You are a teen drama legend till the end of time. Shows like Vampire Diaries and Degrassi to a lesser extent, but really, with the Vampire Diaries, you cemented your legend. You are legendary. So to Nina Dobrev, everybody, this was a wonderful 6 season run. I just hated the character that you primarily played, but you were fun to look at, and when you played Catherine Pierce, you were out of control. You were so good. So Nina, thank you so much for the hard work here. It was while I hated Elena Gilbert, it was a pleasure to really see just how legendary you truly were. You were phenomenal. Jodie Lynn O'Keefe guest stars as Kai's twin and Alaric's, I guess, dead wife, mother of his kids. Like, holy shit, that got dark real quick. Ah, oof, woof. Um, Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, I think she's a fox. I've loved her since Halloween H2O, and she's all that, and it's a really good performance here. There's a lot of sensitivity to her performance here. Her character is kind of dumb, but her performance is really good. And I love spending time with Jodie Lynn O'Keefe. Alaric is still a fucking uber doofus idiot, though. I hate his character still. It's still a stupid character. Caroline turns off her empathy switch when her mother dies, and it kind of feels recycled from all the other times that other characters have turned off their empathy switches. Stefan and Caroline truly embark on a romantic relationship, which is fine, but I feel the chemistry is a little forced, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm cool with it. We had a lot of really nice moments with Damon and Elena. I thought that in the final episode of the season, Damon and Elena dancing in that street where I think they first met, right? Even if that's not true, Damon and Elena dancing in that street, I thought it was achingly choreographed. I thought it was really just gorgeous to look at. Elena that purple pinkish sort of dress. I loved it. I loved it. I saw them dancing there, and from every angle, they looked eternal. It looked like one of the greatest romances ever. It looked like everlasting teen drama. In a large way, it looked like Shakespeare. Better. Enzo is a character I wish I liked more. I don't hate him. Michael Malarkey plays him, and there are enough little eccentricities or we spend enough time with Enzo that he is cool. He does do things I kind of like. It's just I want him to do something that I find interesting. Because right now he's kind of cliched, fucking British bad boy, like super contrived sort of character. I wish I liked him more because I think that there's potential in Enzo for something that could be fun and beneficial for us to analyze together. But right now there's nothing. I wish I liked Enzo more. Um, right now, he's not really too captivating, but I don't hate him. Like I said, there are several moments with Enzo where I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is cool. This is cool. Very entertaining character. Just not a very insightful or philosophically confrontational one. Maybe that's the major problem. And the show knew it was doing this. When we got rid of postmodernism in season 5, I thought it was beautiful, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. The side effect, the consequence of getting rid of your show's core philosophy is that your show no longer has a core philosophy. It's very sincere. It's very earnest. I think it's a show more about virtue than about vice now. Um, but it's a show that is lacking a confrontational sort of philosophy. It feels a little, even though plot is convoluted and it's still occasionally quite bloody and messy, it feels a little sterile. It feels a little too self-satisfied and comfortable. The postmodern philosophy brought a lot of confrontational energy with it, and a lot of sexiness with it too. And I think that we've lost a lot of that in season 6. But once again, that we always knew that was a risk. That was a risk that the show run. That was a risk that the showrunners and the writers, and I'm sure the cast, everybody knew that going into season 6, it's going to be a little bit different because they're kind of reframing their show, which is radical. This is a very radical kind of show. It's an extremely sophisticated teen show altogether. But this season is very, very radical in the sense that 6 seasons in, the show is completely changing its core philosophy and becoming a show that's more about sincerity than about nihilism. I think that's really interesting and difficult to pull off and maintain. And season 6 is not a failure, but it's certainly not a success either. I do find Bonnie and Damon to be the most interesting characters. Their dynamic was perfect. Coming back into this new world of sincerity when they both get out of the prison world is kind of like they're jockeying for position, trying to find some sort of peaceful negotiation within this new philosophy. Sincerity and nihilism will always duke it out, no matter what the philosophy is, and they come to some sort of arrangement. They come to a mutual sort of I would actually say adoration for each other, love in a large way. These two philosophical concepts, and that's where Julie Plec and the Vampire Diaries overall vision comes together quite beautifully in the final episode. If you just follow the thread, the narrative concerning Damon and Bonnie's dynamic, then you're gonna have a great time. Then it's gonna be, I think, really fruitful to watch develop and to analyze as it goes on. Everything else is uninteresting. Everything else is too convoluted to be engaging. Everything else is borderline fucking stupid. But it's a good time still. I still have a good time with this show, and I understand what it's trying to do philosophically, which is entirely radical. It's trying to become something new and different and something that is more helpful than it is detrimental, something that is actually here to guide its viewers. Vampire Diaries season 6 is a show that's trying to be virtuous. But then we'd have to get into a whole discussion about the value of virtue. And that's a conversation the show doesn't necessarily want to have, so neither do I.